As I've said before, under our current Constitution, I think the question of when a new election should occur is a matter for the legislature, and that the current statutes contemplate an election in 2012. I also believe those statutes to be constitutional. As we've moved through this process, however, one thing I've learned is that we need to have some clarity to our Constitution. For example, our Constitution does not differentiate between a short-term disability and a long-term vacancy. And there are other examples where I believe clarity would be beneficial to our people. Additionally, we are only one of the few states that currently calls on the Senate President to act as governor during times of a gubernatorial vacancy. Most states, in some fashion or another, have created the constitutional position of lieutenant governor. I believe that West Virginia needs to move in that direction. I'm therefore announcing today that I have formed a working group to assist my general counsel in developing for the legislature's consideration a constitutional amendment that, if ratified by our citizens, would create a lieutenant governorship in our Constitution. I have three goals in this process. First, I want to add clarity to our Constitution. Second, I want to propose an amendment that would add as little cost as possible to the taxpayers. And third, I do not want to create a position that is simply a figurehead with no powers until called upon to fill a gubernatorial vacancy or act as governor during a disability. Vacancies do not occur that often, and so we need a structure that is beneficial to the people all of the time. With those three principles in mind, I've asked my general counsel to work with the working group and the legislature to formulate a resolution for submission to the people of the state of West Virginia. Also, I want to get this done right. I'm pleased to announce that Charles McElwee, WVU Professor Bob Bastris, Dean of the WVU College of Law, Joyce McConnell, Marty Glasser, and Bill Powell have all agreed to be part of this working group to assist in the formulation of an appropriate amendment. All are dedicated lawyers with significant talents that will aid this process. Again, this change will not affect and has nothing to do with our current situation. It is all about taking a fresh look at how our Constitution should be amended to deal with future gubernatorial vacancies. Thank you. I'll be happy to answer any questions. Yes, ma'am.
What kind of responsibilities do you foresee, do you have any idea what the lieutenant governor should have?
The reason I'm forming the working group is to look at all those possibilities. There are several suggestions that's been made, whether it be a cabinet level position or some other position. That will be recommendations, hopefully, that the work group will come back with after giving us some thorough thought, because I think it's very important that whatever we do, whichever direction we go, and that they're well thought out and in the best interest of the people of the state of West Virginia. Yes, sir.
Do you think this could come maybe in a special session later this year? What do you think the timeline?
Well, once again, I think it's going to take some time for serious thought, not only from the working group, but also to give the legislature the opportunity to have their input and to give their special thoughts to it. Whether it will come in a special session later or down the road, I'm not sure. It depends on how quickly the group could come with a recommendation back to me. Yes, sir.
I understand that this could either come as a constitutional amendment and voted on by the people in 2012, or possibly there could be a special election called specifically just for this constitutional amendment. Do you see one or the other?
All of those things are possibilities. The one thing I do want to make sure of is that we do not do this in haste. I think it's, when you go to change the Constitution of this state, I think it's something that should be taken very seriously. All angles should be looked at. We do not have vacancies like this very often, and I think that it's very important that whatever recommendation the legislature will put to the people out there should be well thought out. Yes, sir.
There's a legislative committee looking into this. I thought what about their whatever recommendations come out. I thought they were supposed to have a recommendation for the legislature
It's my understanding that the Joint Judiciary Subcommittee looking into elections have been working. I think this will go right hand in hand with that from the working group that I've named here today. And I think all those will go to the legislature, those proposals. Hopefully, we will have a well thought out amendment to put before the people of the state of West Virginia. Yes, sir.
What do you think citizens are going to think about this initially? I mean, just because sometimes pessimism and they're thinking maybe spending, or what do you think? How do you think this might be received by the public?
I think one of the main purposes is the clarification. There's some different opinions on when elections should be held and so forth. Obviously, we have the suit before the Supreme Court. I think that if we can clarify, should this occasion happen in the future, it will be a much simpler process than what we've gone through recently. Yes, sir, Ron.
Should this indicate that the current situation is led to a bit of chaos?
I don't think there's been any chaos at all. I think as far as the transition from my role as Senate President to the office of Governor has worked very smoothly. There's been no loss of service to the people out there, and it is very clear under our current Constitution that we're doing exactly what it says and what our current statutes say.
But it has created several, concerns. Clearly, there's changes within the Senate. There is this court case coming up on Tuesday.
Right.
There are clearly different opinions on the situation that we're in.
There are, and that's the reason we're trying to add some clarity to the Constitution with that. And whatever the Supreme Court rules, obviously we'll follow their ruling. Yes, sir.
If it's gone smoothly, why would we make a change? I mean, we considered this in the 1860s, 1870s, and I think in the 1960s. What's different now?
I think just the simple fact of the difference of opinion on when the election should be held, how long, and so forth. And I think all these issues should be discussed as we go through the process of formulating a resolution, get the resolution for the legislature and to the people to vote on. Yes, sir.
Do you have any opinions about how this new position should it run as a straight ticket with the governor? Do you think it should be separate? I mean, it seems like states go about this in many different ways.
The research that we've done you're exactly right. Each state does it a little bit differently, and I think that's the reason that we need to put the serious thought in with the working group, working with the legislature.
I think this is very disappointing from the standpoint that we truly expected that we might hear him speak about a special election and the need for one, which is paramount. But we believe there's a crisis of leadership, and we wish he'd focus in terms of creating jobs, working on the economy, tort reform, tax reform, doing those things that can get West Virginians back to work. And the idea of creating one new job simply isn't going to cut it for the West Virginia taxpayer.